To replace your bag pit to tailcone bulkhead, first, cut the tail off your commander. Oh wait, hold on, we did that, so you shouldn't need to. Let's go inside now to our jig. See how Aerodyme is pre-building neat, clean, well-fitted, strong, and safe replacement kits to save you time and money. The subject at hand is a bag pit to tailcone bulkhead replacement kit, the Aerodyme SK600. The SK600 combines Vantage Plastics panels with a strong and stable support framework engineered by Aerodyme. Trimming and pre-fit is accomplished here at Aerodyme before the kits are shipped to reduce your installation labor by 80% and hopefully your frustration to nearly zero. Our objectives were safety, strong enough to prevent collapse of pit contents into the tailcone, stability to reduce wear and tear during opening and closing for tailcone access, quality, neat, plumb, square, centered, and nice looking, cost savings by use of standard jigs, tools, and assembly templates at Aerodyme to pre-build each kit in far less time than field one-offs for each airplane. Replaceable parts, standard pre-build allows replacement parts to be offered as needed. Space, expansion of pit size and volume when used to refit the 114B or 114TC. We believe the mission has been accomplished. Let's walk around the pre-built kit. Literally. I'll bet you can't get this view in your commander. Let's talk for a minute about some of the aspects of this kit. We'll start down at the bottom with the floor stop. So the so-called hatch shelf panel is backed up at the floor level with a stop. This is a critical area where we don't want heavy bag pit contents being able to push back and drop down on the controls, control pulleys, control cables, other systems in this area. Moving up, we see the main crossbeam, which spans side to side, shock mounted. Side gussets, which stabilize the whole kit side to side, particularly important for ease of opening and closing and preventing wear and tear during opening and closing. Then as we move up, we can see, for instance, here an example of a nut plate strip, which is pre-installed here at Aerodyme. Again, adds strength and stability to the plastics. There are also nut plate strips underneath here. And then moving up, we can see the upper support beam fastened in the center to the upper structure of the airplane. And again, strength and stability provided there. The main beam has alternative brackets depending on which model of airplane the kit is being pre-built for. In this case, it's the earlier airplanes which have these triangular shelves where you may currently have an ELT mounted, or maybe a pitot-static encoder over here. But that structure is different in later models, and so the brackets that go that attach the ends of the main beam are also different to correspond. Another difference would be in the top attach. I'll show you in a moment a front view disassembled, and you'll see how that attaches on this earlier airplane, but it attaches a bit differently on the later models. you can see that this access and this fixture allows us to do a high quality job of neat, square, trim, drilling, match drilling, you name it. It's all facilitated by having a proper fixture. So we do a lot of work here to get this kit ready for you, and therefore there's a lot of work that you do not need to do. We trim all the plastic panels, so they are received from Vantage Plastic with all sorts of overhanging mold anomalies, and knowing where to trim them and how to trim them is very important. We take care of all of that. We fabricate the structural parts that you saw me illustrate from the back end. We pre-assemble those. We install the nut plate backer strips, and we pre-build each kit on the fixture here. When it goes out to you, the installation instructions and all hardware are included. To demonstrate the strength of the AP600 system, I'll just go ahead and push right here. And you notice I'm lifting the table and the whole show right off the ground. Some good pushes there. This is a very strong and stable system. I'll open up the panels for access now, and that will be 3 screws on each side up here for the upper panel in the middle, and then for the hatch shelf, so to speak, we'll have 2 screws up here. We'll have 2 screws on the deck, and then 2 screws down in the lower corners. I've removed the hatch shelf section. That was 6 screws, took about 2 minutes. And this reveals a few more bits we can talk about. You see very clearly here the floor stop, right, which prevents the hatch shelf, particularly the lower region, from being able to push back. If you had a heavy object in the pit, you weren't tied down, and underwent a bit of G-loading, we don't want anything to be able to sort of break back. It doesn't have to go very far to reach fairly critical areas of the airplane controls. This would be sufficient opening to access the battery, take care of battery fluids, that sort of thing. And although not cut into this pit yet, there is a removable hatch here for purposes of reaching and servicing the gear pump. Anything to do with the gear pump except literally having to remove it from the airplane for replacement. So normal servicing is probably accomplished at this level. 2 minutes to open it up. For annual inspection, this also gives the inspector a good view of all the tail systems. He can even stick his head in here and look around a little bit. So that was 2 minutes to get open, and about 2 minutes to close up at that level. Okay, here we are, 2 more minutes in, and we've removed 6 additional screws and taken out the upper panel. So we can see that main beam and how that backs the system. We can see the screws which still remain in place, which attach the side panel to the gusset here and side panel to the gusset here. This is a very full access. If we needed to go further, let's say we were going to replace the gear pump, we'd have to take this side off. That would be these 3 screws and this spacer, and then that guy would be away. Oh, sorry, 1 more screw up at the top. So, you know, another 2 minutes and you'd have that out. The structure would remain in place. If you needed to completely disassemble the kit out of the airplane for heavy repairs, there'd be a few more things to do. But what we've just gone over would be as far as things would need to go in any general circumstances. mentioned earlier, I would show you how the upper beam is attached to the airplane structure. So for the earlier models that have the hanger, you can see how that's done here. The upper beam is simply riv nutted there. A little bit different on the later models, but nonetheless there's always an attachment of the upper beam for stability and strength.